Let me tell you a story about an entrepreneur you might not be familiar with. He had an idea that would change the world in his time, which actually happened to be a little bit over 100 years ago. His name was Christopher Latham Scholes. And his big idea was to allow people to create printed documents immediately. He invented the first commercially successful typewriter. Now, when he built this product that was going to change the world, he ran into a pretty big problem, which is people got too good at using it. And when they became so good at using it, they would type really fast. And when they typed really fast, the keys that would be hitting the paper would get stuck. And so he came up with an innovation that would solve this problem. He changed the keyboard. He redesigned the keyboard to make it more difficult to type the most commonly used words that would slow people down, basically. And he called this keyboard design the QWERTY keyboard, the keyboard most of us use today. It was invented in order to slow us down, to separate the most commonly used letters, to force us to use our pinkies. If you ever remember being in typing class and struggling with that, this keyboard was intentionally designed to be suboptimal. So, of course, nearly 100 years later, another guy comes along and says, well, I can fix this problem. Let's redesign the keyboard. His name's Augustus Dvorak. He's a professor. He redesigns the keyboard to put the most commonly used letters together, to allow us to type with the middle row, to put the vowels closer together. He calls this keyboard design, humbly, the Dvorak keyboard design, after himself. And in order to prove how amazing it is, he hires this one woman named Barbara Blackburn, who's a professional typist, to practice on his keyboard and then enter typing competitions, of which there were in the 1960s, speed typing competitions. And Barbara Blackburn won this speed typing competition by typing 212 words a minute on the Dvorak keyboard. Clearly proven to be a better product. Raise your hand if you use a Dvorak keyboard. Not even one super geek in the back. How come? This is a better product, right? It's designed to be a better product, and yet none of us are using it. And it leads me to my first scary fact, and I have two that I think are going to change the way that we do business, that all of you sell products, specifically on Amazon. The first scary fact is having a great product isn't enough, because sometimes the best product doesn't win. Now, the second scary fact, going backwards in history, starts with a chronicle from a guy named Herodotus, who wrote a history of his time thousands of years ago. And he wrote a story about this mythical bird, the cinnamongus bird, which was a fierce creature that built its nest high up in mountaintops. And this nest was made of this material that was prized at the time. And in order to get this material, these hunters would swing these rocks around to hit this monster bird out of the nest so that they could harvest the sticks that the nest was made of. The sticks were cinnamon. And the story was created in order to increase the value of cinnamon. There was no cinnamongus bird. That was the story. Now, we tell stories. We talk about marketing being about stories. And in Amazon selling parlance, that's our sales copy, right? But what if having the right sales copy wasn't enough either? So the two things we need to focus on, that we learn to focus on, having a great product, having great sales copy, what if those two things aren't enough? What if we need something else? What if we can't win just by doing those two things? And what if we could win for a short period of time, we can't win for a long period of time? That's a big problem, right? Well, those are the two things we got to focus on. But what else is there? What else should we be thinking about? Now, the truth is, today we have a problem. And it's a problem that all of us in this room face together. And it's a problem that's been years in the making. And it is related to marketing, because we haven't necessarily been exposed to good things when we see marketing, right? Marketing doesn't have a great reputation. Just because more doctors smoke Camel doesn't really mean it's good for you, right? But we see these things. We see miracle cures that are going to save us from anything that might be wrong with us. And that's a problem, because there are no miracle cures usually. Maybe you're selling some on Amazon, but usually there aren't miracle cures, and sometimes they end up being wrong. Now, Levi's tells us that hotness comes in all shapes and sizes as long as your ass is one of those sizes. Because otherwise, according to Levi's, it's not actually hot. even though they take out huge billboards to explain to you how it could be. We see marketing in the beauty space and we feel bad about ourselves because we could be better, we could have more hair, we could have less weight, we could be the person that we always wanted to be, but we're not today. So let's manipulate that and sell people stuff. And the problem is marketing's getting a pretty bad rap. These are just a couple of books that have come out over the last several years about the problem with marketing. Mind control. Toxic sludge is good for you, says the PR guy in the yellow tie and the red suit. Clearly a trusted attire to wear for a PR guy, right? This is not an all-natural product. I hate to tell you, there's no such thing as a Cocoa Krispy tree that this product could grow on. And yet, we see these proclamations all the time from food marketers, and it gets in trouble. In a blind taste test, hungry people chose hot breakfast over cold cereal 90% of the time, and then at the bottom it says, not based on a fact. How much of marketing needs that disclaimer on it? Right? At least they put it on there, as opposed to other people who don't. So maybe if we tell people it's not advertising, then they'll believe it. This is not an ad. And then in small print, it's a reminder that someone close to you wants a PSP for Christmas. So it's not an ad, but it is an ad. But maybe if we tell people it's not, then they'll believe us. We ask for unreasonable things. And we're surprised when people don't do them. If we're not providing an amazing experience, why would people go through this process in order to like us? This is not an amazing experience that we offer. Now, the good news is this Facebook page is actually fake. It's not done by the brand. Because I'm not sure how many people would want to post and share to their entire Facebook friends that they're currently dealing with a hemorrhoid condition that requires them to use this product. This is not the sort of thing you broadcast to your friends, usually. Well, maybe it depends on your friends. I don't want to speak for everyone. But this is not a usual thing for people to share, and yet we explain. So maybe we just need better Facebook buttons. If we just had a throw tomato button, we could solve this problem. Better Facebook buttons for everybody. This is the button solution to the world's marketing problems. We expect that people are naive. Did you know this? Is this a conspiracy? I don't know. Maybe. Is this product actually coming from the Swiss Alps, or are we just Evian spelled backwards? Are we just naive? Right? We can't tell people that what we're selling is something and expect them to not see through it. Donut seeds. This is the next big product on Amazon. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. This is it, right here. If you're looking for a product idea, the sky's the limit for what you could charge for this. Imagine Costco-sized bundle packs for this. Gift packs, corporate gifting. I mean, the sky's the limit, really. And how easy is this to package, right? Beautiful. We want stuff like this. But the problem that all of this leads to is we're in the middle of a believability crisis. And it is a crisis. And it's not just affecting large corporations. It's not just affecting people selling certain types of products in certain categories. This is affecting all of us. It is harder to be believable today with the customers you're trying to reach, because all this stuff is making it harder for you. Cocoa Krispies is making it harder for you. Donut seeds are making it harder for you. So what are you going to do about that? How are you going to be more believable? Because people are blaming business itself. And they're opting out. They're saying, I'm not going to get this stuff anymore. We're just pissed off. We're not even in a category anymore. Pissed off is a category. That's the new political party, pissed off. And honestly, who doesn't want to run as a candidate under the pissed off platform? I mean, that's just a great platform for anybody, right? But we see these hacks. We see people stealing information, and we're scared about what they might do. And so we try and advertise our way out of it, but people are really good at ignoring it, right? They see this stuff, and they say, well, okay, I'm not going to click on this stuff. In fact, there's a term that marketing and advertising researchers have coined for this phenomenon based on eye tracking studies and where people actually look on a page. They've coined a really scary term for this. They call it banner blindness, as in we're blind to advertising online because we don't even see it. It's not that we're choosing to ignore it. We don't even look at it. We're blind to it. Our eyes don't even go there anymore. So all of this is making it harder for us. How do we solve this problem? That's the big question, because selling anything today is harder than ever before. But what if I told you that your ability to sell any product came down to your ability to do one thing? This is the thing. This is what we all have to be able to do, and it has nothing to do with the product you're selling. It has nothing to do with the category you're in. It has to do with being able to deliver on one thing, and that one thing is trust. If we're trusted, we sell more products. If people believe us, we sell more stuff. So how do we be more trusted? How do we be more believable? I've painted sort of a doomsday picture a little bit, right? Because it's harder to be believable than ever before. So how are we going to evolve past that? Because the truth is, people want to believe in the products they buy. They want to believe in the people who are selling them. But we have to give them a reason to do that. So what I want to do is take you through 5 principles for how to do it. This is the how-to part of the talk, not the, oh my God, we're scared because nobody's going to believe us part of the talk. This is the actionable part. And what I specifically want to do is give you these 5 principles for how to be more trusted, and then give you a real actionable idea for each one that you can take into your business tomorrow or even later today, specifically for you, based on the fact that you're all selling stuff on Amazon. So super customized just for you. That's my aim for the rest of my talk and my time with you today. So let's talk about the first one. The first principle is to embrace the cold, hard, dirty, beautiful truth. Now, we have a lot of reasons not to embrace the truth, right? Because it's impolite to tell people the truth. But we're all thinking it, right? Somebody gets into that elevator and they press that one floor, you're like, come on, man. We know you could have walked, right? We know that this stuff is not the best. But if you just told us, maybe you could build some trust, right? Maybe we'd actually believe the things that you're telling us, but we're not that good at the truth. Imagine, I flew here on a United flight. I take United all the time because I live in the DC area. And I remember there was a message that used to come on by the old CEO, who thankfully is gone now. But he used to come on this video when you got on the flight, and the video would have him talking about how proud he was about United's prowess with moving cargo. And one of the lines in there said, "We've been moving cargo longer than we've been moving people." And you're sitting there on a passenger flight thinking, yeah, man, I get it. I get that you're good at this, right? But it's such a tone-deaf message, because do I care about that if I'm on the flight? No. Imagine if Jeff, our buddy Jeff, or the new guy who took over from Jeff, came on that video and he said, I'm the CEO of United, I'm channeling the CEO of United now, okay? I took over for United. We have 5,000 planes. We fixed up 3,000 of them. They're pretty good. The other 2,000 are still crap. But we're working on it. Imagine if they told us that, which actually happens to be the truth. But they would never say that, right? We don't live in a world where we get that kind of truth. But if we could change everything. There's a hotel brand in Amsterdam called the Hans Brinker Budget Hotel, whose tagline says they've been proudly disappointing travelers for 40 years. Boasting levels of comfort comparable to a minimum security prison. The Hans Brinker also offers some plumbing and an intermittently open canteen serving a wide range of dishes based on runny eggs. They offer cardboard cutouts for all the items they don't have, such as a hairdryer, shampoo, a telephone. They have a games room, which is a Post-it note, so that you can entertain yourself with this Post-it note. It's based on your creativity, right? I see product ideas coming here. I see them. They have asterisks in brochures next to all the items that are not included, such as lamps, linens, windows, maid service, curtains. Their badge in bright gold, if you could read it, says not one of the best hotels in the world. In the list of desirable places to stay in Amsterdam, they are ranked directly below an abandoned mine shaft. Self-ranked, in fact, not even an official rank by the Amsterdam government, just self-ranked as being less valuable than an abandoned mine shaft. And if all of this marketing was not powerful enough to convince you that this is the place you have to stay on your next trip to Amsterdam, they leave with a bold yet true brand promise, which is the Hans Brinker Budget Hotel. It can't get any worse, but we'll do our best. Now, how is this good marketing? Why would this be valuable? And I'm telling you, by the way, that it is valuable and it does work, because they are the most frequently booked budget hotel in Amsterdam every year, year over year over year over year. Why? Why would people book this intentionally disappointing experience? Well, it turns out their target audience is students, right? 20-somethings who are backpacking through Europe, who don't have a lot of money, but whose number one desire is to be on this trip, to Instagram share everything about their trip back home with all of their friends. And what better story than to say, we stayed at the world's worst hotel and we survived. Isn't that an awesome story? And of course, that's what happens. And right now, if you go into the Hans Brinker Budget Hotel, there's only two things you can do. When you walk in and you check in, you can either check in for your room, or you can purchase a book about this thick that is full of ideas from their marketing. Their marketing itself has become iconic. And because of that, people stay there, and they want the story. And by the way, when all of your marketing talks about how bad your experience is, your expectations as a consumer are way down here. So when people show up and there actually is a bed, they're thrilled. Wow, they do have plumbing. This is great. This is way better than they said it was. There's a little psychological trick for you there, right? But it works. So the sales idea here is find ways to be proactively honest. Not tell people things that you have to tell them, not giving them details on the features and the benefits and all of the stuff that they expect, but proactive honesty. Who is this product not great for? What are some of the shortcomings? When should somebody choose to buy something else that's a competing product instead of the one that you're selling? Are we used to answering these sorts of questions? Of course not. We don't want to lose the sale. But if we can use proactive honesty, if we can tell the truth, we can build trust. So that's the first principle. Okay, second principle. Achieve relevance through purposeful storytelling. Now, storytelling is great. Storytelling's fun. Whenever you say, let me tell you a story, people all of a sudden are like, oh, okay, tell me a story. The problem is sometimes our stories look like this. Our story, the State Bank of Purdy. The first state bank was chartered in June 1944 as a blah, blah, blah by somebody, somebody. And then in 1974, we got acquired by somebody else. And then $3 bazillion moved from here to here. And then we got acquired by somebody else. And you're just like, oh, hold on. Are you serious? Is this really a story? You got us all excited because at the top it says our story, but then it doesn't deliver. This is not a story, right? They might as well have titled this page, Our Boring History of Our Company. That would have been more accurate to what it is, right? A story looks like this. Mark spent long hours on a green couch, a hand-me-down from his big brother. There's the couch. Talking to Dave and planning the business. The more they worked at it, the more convinced they became that getting custom t-shirts the traditional way was a pain in the neck and they could make it fun. Okay, tell me that story, right? That story actually makes sense. People get that story. There's a value in being able to do that. Now, you might think, okay, how much of a story do people really want on an Amazon product listing, right? They just want to know what the thing is. Just tell me the thing, and that's it. There's a fascinating experiment a couple of years ago that eBay did, where they invited writers, fictional writers, to, not fictional writers, writers of fiction, sorry. I should say that better. Writers of fiction. They invited writers of fiction to make up stories about products that inherently had very little value, like an old crusty teapot. And then they listed that same product without the story and with the story. And they tested the conversion rates. And essentially what they were trying to test on the eBay platform is, do people buy more when they know a story behind a product? And of course, I wouldn't be telling you this story if it didn't turn out that people do actually buy more when they have some story or some relevance behind it. So people do want to know, how are these things being used? Which is, by the way, the reason why reviews are such a powerful and compelling reason that people actually purchase products, right? When they're reading reviews, what are they looking for? They're looking for stories of somebody who's purchased that product and what that product did for them. They're searching for a story through a review and someone else's experience, but they're searching for that story. And if we can do it, and if we can elevate, then we can do something powerful, because it's a purposeful story. And the purposeful story that Custom Ink., which is a maker of t-shirts, tells is that they believe in the power of custom t-shirts. And as a brand, they do that over and over with what they stand for. They have a page on their website that is devoted to players of Quidditch. Now, if you don't know what Quidditch is, it's the fictional game from the Harry Potter movies. And apparently there's college students at college campuses across the country who are fielding teams of Quidditch and playing against one another. Now, if you are a college student Quidditch player, you're probably pretty used to getting ridiculed. But Custom Ink. is the one company that comes along and says, look, we're not going to make fun of you. No, instead, we're going to create an entire landing page that is all about Quidditch jerseys, because we know that if you're going to play on a team, you need a jersey. And if Quidditch is the game you want to play, we're okay with that. And we'll give you the jersey for it. And they win. Because how many other people do you think are selling Quidditch jerseys? Probably nobody. So you can win by being able to tell a more powerful story than anyone else. This guy is a friend of mine. He's a Hollywood producer. His name's Peter Guber, and he wrote a book called Tell to Win. He's the guy behind Rain Man and Gorillas in the Mist and a lot of movies that you would know, Contact. And his book is all about telling stories and the power of telling stories. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. It's filled with stories of what he's done in his career as a Hollywood producer. So it's kind of a fun read. It's not like a step one of telling a story, pick your characters. Step two, create conflict. It's not that. It's him doing what he does, right? So it's entertaining as a read. And one of the stories he tells is of a woman, an entrepreneur named Linda Resnick, who's the entrepreneur behind why we as humans today actually drink pomegranate juice versus humans 10 years ago that really didn't. She brought that back. She's the entrepreneur behind that. So she's got vision. And one of her moments of vision led her to an auction several years ago for a product that is an iconic piece of American history. It's the necklace that Jackie O wore in pretty much every picture that was taken of her at the time when she was First Lady. And it was a fake pearl necklace purchased for $35, but she loved it. It was her favorite necklace. And this necklace ended up going on sale at an auction with Sotheby's. And Linda decided she wanted this necklace. She had to have it. So she sent her auction guy. I imagine most billionaires probably have an auction guy. And she sent her auction guy to go and raise a card and bid on this necklace, this fake pearl necklace. So the bidding started out at $25,000. Maybe seems high, but it's a piece of American history, right? It's okay. $25,000. So her guy bids $25,000. Bidding goes on, $50,000, $75,000, $100,000, $150,000, $200,000. Eventually, her auction guy buys it for $211,000. Now, fake pearl necklace, right? But it's okay, she's a billionaire. $211,000, no big deal, right? For her. But she's not buying it as a personal memento. She's buying it as an investment. So she goes and commissions for a replica of this necklace to be made, and she sells it on the Home Shopping Network for $150 each. And she makes more than $26 million of profit. She sells 130,000 units of this necklace. Now, this is a fake of a fake, by the way, if you're following this. So, do you think any one of those 130,000 consumers woke up that morning thinking, as they went through their wardrobe, oh, if I only had a fake pearl necklace? Nobody wakes up thinking that, right? But they're not buying the necklace, are they? They're buying the story. They're buying the feeling. They're buying the emotional connection to Jackie O. If you want to know the ROI of an emotional connection to Jackie O, it's $26 million. That's the ROI. Because it's a powerful story, and we feel connected to it. Some of you might be familiar with this product. I've used it in classes at Georgetown when I teach pitching to students, and I invite them to pitch this product. It's a real product that is on Amazon, that's for sale, called the Hutzler 571 Banana Slicer. Nobody knows what the 571 stands for. Hutzler is the company that makes it, and it is exactly what it sounds like. And when you read some of the more than 5,000 customer reviews of this product, you learn several things about the product. One person says it saved their marriage. Another person, who gave it a 1-star review, by the way, was particularly angry because all of their bananas were angled the opposite direction, and so it didn't work. And as you spend time reading about whether it works on Brazilian bananas better than ones from Italy, and the difference between Tuscany bananas or Neapolitan bananas, or any of the other reviews that are posted about this product, you realize something curious about this banana slicer. This is a cult product superhero, right? Because it's so ridiculous that people can't help but explore their creativity. And we've all probably seen examples of products like this. Bic making a pen for her. It was a women's pen, and all these women saying, thank goodness there's finally a pen for my delicate fingers. I couldn't possibly use a men's pen to write anything, right? So there's silly, amazingly idiotic products. But what's interesting about this one in particular is it's selling a lot. Now, I would argue that most of the people who buy this are pretty adept at slicing a banana with a knife, as opposed to needing this banana slicer. This is not a product people need. By most definitions, this is not a great product. You look at the sales copy for this product, and it's not great sales copy either. But it's an amazing hit because of the people who associate with it, the people who are telling the story behind it. And as you read new reviews, review after review after review, you start to realize that people are buying this for a very different reason than they buy a lot of other products. And it's because of the story. We love the story. So it's hit the media. It's the newest target of snarky Amazon reviews. And what does the company behind this product do when people are making fun of it? Well, guess what? They have a sense of humor. They're okay with it. Why wouldn't they be? It's selling. Sometimes senses of humor are really super valuable. And the point behind all of this is use copy to make an emotional connection. That's the power of stories. I'm using the word story and copy a little bit interchangeably. I know that they're not. But when you can make that emotional connection with the description that you're sharing and with the reviews that people are sharing back, right? Now you may think, okay, well, I can't control the reviews. People are going to write what they're going to write. But we've all spent time thinking about how to entice reviews of our product. And usually, it's how do we get 5-star reviews, right? Usually, it's how do we get more people to review this at 5 stars so that we can rank higher and we can be in the magical sales box or whatever you guys call it, where, like, you know, you can be in the place where people find it, right? That's what we obsess over. We don't necessarily obsess over making it a cult, amazing piece of history, which sort of is what the banana slicer has become. It's all over the internet. All right, third principle. Perform big and small acts of unselfishness. Unselfishness is not something that we as entrepreneurs, are probably very good at when it comes to sales. We may be unselfish in terms of helping other people or being at an event like this and sharing with others and trying to be helpful. But we don't generally do that. How many people recognize this? Okay, all right, so a couple of you, yes. So this is a magic code, right? And I noticed that the people who do know what this is raise their hand with pride. I like that, yes. So for those of you who don't know, this is a secret code. And I'm going to tell you what the secret code is right now. The secret code was created by a company named Konami, which was a Japanese video game company. And with this secret code, you could cheat in video games. And there was one game in particular I used to play when I was a kid called Contra. And Contra was an amazingly hard game. One of the few where I could play with my brother, and we were actually on the same team. We weren't trying to shoot each other. We could actually go through it as a team. And it was way too difficult unless you knew the Konami code. And before the game started, if you pressed up, up, down, down, left, right, B, A, start, before the music started, you would get 30 lives instead of 3. And when you had 30 lives instead of 3, you could make it all the way through Contra. It was a beautiful experience. Yeah, we were cheating, but whatever. It made it valuable because we didn't have that super gamer kind of mentality to be able to spend all that time. Like our mom wouldn't let us, right? So the only way we could make it through this game was with this secret code. But the code makes a huge difference. Now contrast that with what BlackBerry did several years ago, where they invited their customers to share their success story, right? So already you're shrinking your pool of customers, right? Because how many of BlackBerry users have a success story? Shrink. Then, in order to deliver value through this success story, they invite you to share it on their website. And on their website, they say, tell us your first name, your last name, your address, your phone number, your fax number, and how many people in your company use the BlackBerry Enterprise Server, and all sorts of other questions. Now, they're clearly padding their database. They're not adding value for me. This is the perfect example of selfish behavior, right? We ask for all sorts of things we're not going to use, we deliver absolutely no value in return, and we hope that people are actually going to do it in exchange for something. It doesn't work. We know it doesn't work. Imagine if you did the opposite and added value. So I was in the market for a grill several years ago. And I went online and I started researching because I had to decide on the first religious question of buying a grill, which is, do I get a charcoal grill or a gas grill? And it is a religious question for anybody who's in the grill space because people who think one is superior are fanatical about it. And so, of course, I started reading all these opinions, and one of the first things I found was a PDF that said how to choose a grill. Perfect. So I download this PDF, and it's 6 pages, and I start reading about how to contrast between a gas grill and a charcoal grill and what the tastes look like and why you would want one versus the other, and I eventually picked the charcoal grill. So that was the religion I chose in the grill space. Yes, thank you to the charcoal people. Okay. See what I mean? But in order to purchase this item, I didn't purchase it online because it's a humongous thing, and most people don't buy something like that online. They go to their store and buy it. So I took my 6-page PDF. There was a checklist at the end of it, and the checklist said, tick off the things that are valuable for you. So I did that, and I tick off the things that are valuable for me. Then it said, take it to your dealer. So I take my checklist, I walk over to my dealer, and I say, this is what I'm looking for. And he takes one look at this thing, and he says, okay, let me show you the Weber section right here. And 5 minutes later, I walk out with a Weber grill. They sold me on the grill before I even walked in the door of the dealership. That's content marketing. And the reason it worked is because they solved my problem. Not because they told me about this amazing flashlight light bulb thing that allows me to cook in the dark, right? Which is a cool feature, but I don't care about that if I don't even know if I want a charcoal grill or a gas grill. So the question I have for you is, are you answering a question like that? Or are you telling people about the amazing light bulb on the grill, which is way further down? I don't even care about that if I don't even know what I'm looking for, right? You're not answering my question. So there's companies investing in this idea of thinking more broadly about questions. Hilton has an entire Twitter account that's dedicated to them answering questions from anyone about anything, not necessarily people who stay at a Hilton property. So you want to know a great burger place in Las Vegas, tweet at Hilton Suggests and see if they respond. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to add value. That's it. That's the model behind that Twitter account. Matt Barrett has done the same thing. he is probably one of the world's most well-known experts on travel to Greece. If you've taken a trip to Greece, you've probably come across his content, which looks like this. Right? It's barely been updated since then. It's basically an old-school HTML website. But on it are thousands of pages about everything to do in Greece. This is his whole description of why he does what he does and how he loves doing it and why he's associated with this. And when you look for Greece travel, he's at the top of the rankings because he has so much content behind it. Now, the point here isn't that you have to create thousands and thousands of pages. The point is you have to go beyond the listing to answer bigger questions, because when you do, you create more value for that one listing. So this is not a strategy for adding more stuff to a listing. This is a strategy for actually having more reasons for people to find that in the first place. And that's the value of content marketing. If you've heard about or thought about doing more content marketing, that's the value behind it. Fourth principle, worship simplicity. We get too complicated. We write too much. I'm guilty of the same thing. And it doesn't work because this is what we're trying to do. Right? Now, this may be the perfect army knife for every situation you could ever imagine. But it's not particularly valuable in any of those, because if you needed the pliers, how would you hold this thing in order to actually use that one feature, right? This is not what we want to do with our sales copy. This is not what we want to do with our products. It looks like it would be really valuable, but in reality, it's totally useless. That's not what we want. Instead, we want this level of simplicity. Shazam is an app where you press one button and it listens to the world around you and tells you what song is playing, or sometimes what TV spot is playing, or other things as well. Super, super simple. Literally one button. That's the entire app. That's what it does. One button simplicity. Simplicity works in email. There was a fascinating overview when Obama won his first election of his email campaign strategy. And they analyzed the emails that the campaign had sent, and they related those emails based on tracking codes to how much money those emails made. And they noted that these were the top 10 most valuable emails in terms of amount of money raised directly attributed to that one email. And if you notice the subject lines of all of these, they're only a couple words. They're highly action-oriented. They're designed to induce indignation among the people that they get sent to, and they work because people actually donate based on that. Now, I'm not telling you that this is unique to this one campaign. This is what every campaign's trying to do. They're reverse analyzing and saying, well, what do people act on? And the macro point here is not how much money we're wasting raising for political campaigns that goes into basically nothing and disappears into a black hole of nothingness. My point is, these are all simple. They've mastered the art of simplicity, and that's what actually gets them money. This is the original business plan for Southwest Airlines, drawn by Herb Kelleher on a cocktail napkin. His original plan was, I'm going to create an airline that flies directly between these three cities because it doesn't exist today, the day that he created the airline. The ultimate in simplicity. Do you have a business plan like that? Could you draw your business plan like that? Could you draw the pitch for your latest product on Amazon like that? Now, I know you can't make that into a product description necessarily, but having that level of clarity in your head is amazing for what it can do for how you can deliver on that pitch. So try and get to that level of simplicity. It's tough. I'm not standing here telling you it's easy, but there's a reason why simplicity can be so powerful. Because ultimately, when you can be more simple, your product becomes the easiest to buy. And when you're easy to buy, as we all know, in the one-click world of Amazon, you can get bought. So make it easier to buy. Make it easier to understand. Don't overload it. Fifth principle, respect that timing really is everything. Timing is huge. This is a beautiful tweet I love, where William Shatner tweeted at Commander Hatfield, who was actually in space at the time, saying, "Are you tweeting from space?" And MBB is how William Shatner signs all of his tweets. It says, "My best, Bill for William." And of course, Commander Hatfield responds saying, "Yes, standard orbit, Captain, and we're detecting signs of life on the surface." Amazingly viral, right? Because it's perfect timing. It's in the moment. That's what's great about Twitter. When you do things like this that are in the moment, they succeed and thrive on Twitter because it's a platform built for that, right? So now imagine you're the small guy, right? Domino's is your competitor. They've launched a huge multi-million-dollar campaign based on the fact that there are focus groups who came to them and said, "Your sauce tastes like ketchup and your crust tastes like cardboard." And instead of doing what most pizza companies would do, which is find some new way of sticking something into the orifice of a pizza in order to create an innovation, Oreo crust, now available on pizza, right? That's what they usually do. Instead of doing that, they said, okay, well, we'll go and fix it. Revolutionary in the brand space, in the marketing space. So they go out, they spend millions and millions of dollars, they launch this thing, and now you're the owner of the pizza shop in New York, and you're forced to deal with what Domino's does. Well, how do you fight back? Well, here's how one pizza shop owner fought back. There's always a way to fight back, and it doesn't take the biggest budget. But it does take great timing. Timing is what this is all about when it comes to that real time, serving the need, being in that place when people actually want you to be there. So the sales tip here is update your pitch right now, for right now. It's tempting to say, well, we're going to create this once and we're going to leave it there. And I'm guessing many of you probably have products where you've written the pitch a year ago or longer, and it's just been sitting there, and maybe it's selling, so you don't really feel like anything's broken. But people want recency. There's a reason why there's dates on blog posts. People look at Twitter as a rolling stream. The media consumer of today is trained to look for the most recent thing, to look for something that's been updated. And when they find something that feels stale, that looks like it hasn't been updated, that doesn't have any reviews in the last year, it feels old, and they move on. So timing is super important. So the recap here behind all of these principles is ultimately based on this big question that you're all here today to try and answer, which is how do you really sell more products? What does it take? I painted the picture of the believability crisis and the fact that it's harder to sell anything to anyone than ever before. And I've given you 5 principles. That's the formula for trust. Truth, relevance, unselfishness, simplicity, and timing. It makes a lovely acronym for trust, which is what I do because I'm a marketing guy. Can't help it. But at the end of the day, it's about inspiring that trust. And there are ways you can do it right now. And I believe that if you can do it, you can win. And that's what I want for you. That's what I want for all of us. To be here, to be among the people who win. There's a couple ways to get in touch with me. I invite you to do that. My business card promises 3 things: that I'm a marketer, a speaker, and a nice guy. So I hope you test that last one for yourself. And because it was in my intro, I feel like I hate leaving burning questions out there. And in my intro, they mentioned that I believe leaders never eat cauliflower. So I feel like I need to explain to you why that is the case. First of all, because cauliflower is the most disgusting food ever invented. So that's part of the reason. But the secondary reason is I used to keep that to myself. As a person, I used to keep that to myself. And as an Indian, I grew up eating cauliflower, and it's called gobi in Hindi. And I hated it, always hated it. And I used to keep that to myself. And then at one event, one day, I was walking through the line, the buffet, and I happened to mention to somebody, oh, thank God they have other stuff besides cauliflower. I can't stand cauliflower. And 3 months later, I was at another event, and that person said to somebody else, oh, he won't eat that. That has cauliflower in it. And I realized in that moment that people who know what you eat and don't eat are like family. Probably only your family knows that about you. And here was this random person who knew that about me, and that was a pretty awesome thing because now we felt connected over something as stupid as cauliflower. And so now I started making it part of my bio. I have, in my speaking agreement with organizations, I have a cauliflower policy. My cauliflower policy is never. That's the policy, right? I have a page on my website called The Cauliflower Confession. That's all about why I hate cauliflower and why I think that's powerful. And the point behind it is not about cauliflower. The point is share something about yourself. Be yourself. And people will believe in that, which is kind of about truth and kind of about trust too. So that's the cauliflower story. That's how to reach me. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I'll be here.